Welcome to the Rewards Master Live. I am here with a very special session with my good friend Travis White. And I say my good friend because tonight is going to test that statement. Because tonight we are having a credit card points and miles debate. A good old fashioned come at each other, make us justify what we think on things the other one thinks are dumb. And we've not really, we prepped just a little bit and said some of the topics we're going to talk about, but we haven't told each other what we're going to say. So who knows how we'll respond. So we'll let you be the judge of how this works out in the end. So Travis, good to have you.
Well, first of all, I'm happy to be here. Second of all, I'm excited to get to embarrass you. But
hey.
No, but it's going to be a good conversation. And I wanted to start out with, and I told him that I was going to preface with this. And we talked about it. You know, it feels like in the points and miles space that people are very polite. We're all very nice. And him and I have talked about it many times. And it feels like sometimes when, people disagree, they don't always point it out. They don't really jump in and say, well, why do you think that? Why do you say that? And we wanted an opportunity so that we could do that with each other, especially because, as anybody that follows both channels, both him and I think alike in some ways, but very different in others. And I think that we've identified two different topics where I think that we see things differently. One significantly more than the other, but we'll get to that. Bob, do you want to intro both of those two things?
Well, I will, but I do want to say, we've got two prepared topics, but who knows how long this will go and how many more we might throw in there. So Who knows how that'll go. But yeah, we're going to talk about some, we'll just introduce them as they come. How's that, Travis? We'll address them, but I'm going to let him go first and come at Bop a little bit, and then we'll turn it around a little later in the show. But Travis, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for being such an awesome guy, good friend, and a great creator. And I know many. I noticed you got on my Discord today for the first time. Good to have you there. And I know everybody on there will appreciate it very, very much. Let me go to a few of the comments before we get going. Anthony Venture, the man, he is here, says, let's go. Anthony, great to have you here. Says this is fire. Mike Newland, the man, the myth, the legend.
Good to see you, Mike.
Anthony, you got your hair and makeup done for Joe's live. Yeah. After, Joe always has one on Tuesday night after this one. And I think Anthony is a special guest on there today. Stinky Monkey Baby, best name on YouTube. Let's go. Says clapping and fire. Dem is here. Gives us a wave. Good to have you here, Dem. Chad's Money Minutes. One guy who lays it out. He's not afraid to give his views on stuff, even when he disagrees. So Chad's a perfect guy.
Actually, speaking of Chad and everybody else, as we go through, if one of y'all disagrees with one of us, let us know and make sure to give us context as to why.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Dim, King Nerf Ball is in the chat. Everybody run.
Poor Anthony. He got such a bad rap. And I think that it's become such a funny joke that it's taken a life of its own at this point.
Cake, co-workers here, as well as Calderds. Hey, RM and Travis. Good to have you here, Calderds.
Good to see you.
Medic, one of my spreadsheet warriors, as is Mike Newland. Great to have you here, Medic. Says, what's up, fellas? Tulare, hey, Bob, Travis, and everyone else. Good to have you here, Tulare. All right. Calder says, Travis, are you a Trav on the Discords? I think you are, right?
Yes, sir. I'm the crazy guy with the crazy board photo. I just joined. Galveston was good. The weather wasn't perfect, but it was good. Danny and I just love an escape.
Okay. Taciturn Carps gives 100 gems a goat trophy. I have no idea what that is. Do you know what that is?
I have no idea what that is.
Well, thank you. I'm going to give you a golf clap on that anyway. I'm not sure exactly. Maybe that's a new YouTube thing. I've never gotten 1,000 gems before.
The problem is, despite my age, both him and I are boomers, and we have no idea what that means. But we'll figure it out after the stream.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Or somebody tell me in the comments, what's the gem? I'm sure it's awesome. I mean, it's highlighted here, and it's a gift. So thank you for that. Swice-ish is here on work trip and off that Hawaii time zone. So stoked.
Oh, nice.
to make it to this live. Good to have you here, Swice. And Matt is here, says, hey, guys. And then Stephen Baker, excited for the live, just in time for the drive home. All right, get a little debate action going on your drive.
I like it, Stephen.
So, all right,
drive safe.
Travis, what does Bop say or do that just bugs you? That you think that even though we're buddies and we respect each other in such powerful ways, what would you like to say to Bop? Like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking, Bop?
This might be a product of me being an economy traveler, but it may not be. And I'm really interested to see, how does the audience feel? Am I in the minority, or are you? Often Bop and Bop, I want you to jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm translating your viewpoint incorrectly. But a lot of times Bop will jump in and say, let's say, for example, he books a flight, and that flight is worth, in cash, if you booked that exact flight, worth $10,000. And his view is that is real value. He gained $10,000 in value. And just being totally honest with you, I think that's crazy. I think that's absolutely nuts.
All right.
Did I, before we get started, did I translate that correctly?
Oh yeah. You correctly evaluated and described my correct viewpoint.
Okay, that's it. Well, let me just start out with, before I start poking holes in it, can you explain why you feel that?
Sure. Absolutely. So the value of something is whatever the market will bear. Mm-hmm. So whatever people pay. I have no idea why, but people will buy old Pintos now and I grew up in an era where my parents wouldn't have a Pinto because those things blew up all the time. But now, and they're ugly, right? Mm-hmm. But people want them now. And they pay big money for them. Well, a Pinto, is it objectively worth $18,000 on the classic car market? Well, no. But is it worth $18,000 if there are people who will pay $18,000 for it? So, for instance, what do you drive, Travis? What do you drive?
I drive a Genesis. I can't remember, Genesis something.
Oh, nice car.
Sedan. Yeah, I like
nice car. Okay.
You would not believe the deal that I got on that car, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But let's just imagine that somebody, that they made you a deal where
G70. You could, my G70 is the answer.
They made you a deal where you could trade your Genesis straight up for a Bentley. Okay. Mm-hmm. What's a Bentley worth? I mean, I saw one on a Facebook deal the other day. They were selling a 2009 Bentley, and it was like $89,000 for a 2009 Bentley or a Rolls or whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's say your car, I don't know what your car's worth. Let's say it's worth $20,000, whatever. Mm-hmm. And they trade you across. People in this space are always saying stuff like, well, if you wouldn't have paid $10,000 for a business class ticket, then it's not worth that. Well, I wouldn't have paid $89,000 for a 15-year-old car either. Mm-hmm. But a Bentley's still worth $89,000. Because somebody will pay $89,000.
Well, then my follow-up question to you is, how do you so actually, let's use the car example. So there's a car that's being sold for $20,000. You yourself decide, this is too expensive. I don't want to pay $20,000. And I'm just going to make up a number. It's not even that relevant. You decide that it is, personally, in your opinion, it's worth $10,000 maybe. So you decide, this is not a good deal. What are you basing that on? What is the logic behind saying $20,000 isn't worth it?
Okay, you're going to have to clarify that for me just a little bit more. Start over.
So let's say that there's a car.
What you're saying?
Yeah. So there's a car worth $20,000. The market says, okay, that number works. AKA, there's somebody out there that's willing to pay $20,000. But you decide, and let's just throw out whatever you think it's worth. You decide that car is not worth it. You decide that $20,000 ain't it. You're going to go with a different car. What is the logic that goes behind in your mind that makes you decide $20,000 is not worth it?
Well, I mean, I suppose whether I determine something's worth it or not would be looking at my own finances and then also looking at what the market bears. So if the market on that car is $20,000, that's its value. That doesn't mean it's necessarily its value to me, but
And
it's
that's
its value to somebody. So when I say that I spent 55,000 points and I got a $10,000 ticket, I'm talking about what the market is. Okay. I wouldn't pay $10,000 for that ticket, but I got something in return for that 55,000 points. That's market value is $10,000.
But as you just said to me, that's not worth it. To me, it's not worth $20,000. There are better options out there. What I'm getting at is, in my view, there are two different levels of value. There's market value and there's value to you. And just as an example, I don't believe that somebody like Warren Buffett would be where he is today if the market accurately priced things. The entire reason that Warren Buffett is worth what he's worth is because he was able to identify, hey, this company, this stock, the market is irrational. I think that this is overpriced, or I think that this is underpriced. Therefore, he decides he's going to buy it. And let's use like a real life example, because I like to take things to extremes to make examples. Let's say that there's a ticket and you're redeeming $1,000 worth of points. That's a whole other conversation with my phrasing there, but $1,000 worth of points, the ticket's being sold for $1 million. But keep in mind, normally you could book that ticket for $10,000 or something like that. And it's the exact same flight, but the market for some reason on this day thinks it's $1 million. Are you getting any extra real value whenever it's artificially high like that?
Okay. If you're driving a Bentley or driving a Genesis, you're getting the exact same real value. If you're wearing a Rolex or you're wearing a Timex, you're getting the same real value.
I would beg to differ, man.
I would
beg to differ.
This is the deal. The Rolex does one thing. It tells time. The Timex does one thing. It tells time. The car does one thing. It takes you from one place to another.
That's where you got it wrong. It does not.
It does not take you. You don't have a very good car.
That's my point. My car, let's use the car as an example. So like with the Bentley versus, and I actually don't even know how this relates to my original point, but nonetheless, the Genesis, I will tell you right now, my Genesis is not a smooth ride. I got it for a great price. If anybody's interested, I'm pretty open about my finances, including taxes. I spent $27,000 total on my car. You ride in that car, don't get me wrong, from the outside it looks like I'm driving a really classy car. From the inside, you're not in a nice car. but the point is, you can tell that you're getting a lesser product. But going back to that example, in your theory, if the ticket price is high, you're getting better value. $1 million ticket versus a $10,000 ticket on American on the same product, I am not convinced you're getting better value. You're getting the exact same product.
Okay, but I think you're misunderstanding, because we're talking about two different things. One is market value, and the other is what I would be willing to pay, what the value is to me.
Exactly.
I would never argue that when I get 15.7 cents per point on a Virgin Atlantic, and the reason that's inflated is because indeed Virgin Atlantic charges more for a business class ticket than American or even Delta or any of those. So yeah, I get it. I mean, I wouldn't pay that for it, but we're talking about apples and oranges. I mean, you're coming at me blending those two things together into an apple orange or something.
No. I'm trying to separate it out.
Those are not different things.
That's where I'm trying to say, like, I believe that you see it as you're getting better value when you get high cent per point. When you're getting, a ticket that, God forbid, was $15,000 in cash, but you were able to book it with, $800 of the points. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm killing it. I got high value. My point is that your personal value, the way that you would value that flight, and actually, I kind of agree with the way that you pose my viewpoint. My viewpoint is personal value is different than market value. And with personal value, that is the deal that I'm getting. So, for a business class flight, I think that what I would do is I would ask you, for this product on this route on these days, what would you bop? How low would I have to drop that price to get you to say, I will pay in cash? And to me, that is the real value that you are getting.
Okay, I get your point. However, I don't think it's right. And the reason I don't is because, okay, the thing is that I wouldn't pay for any business class flight.
Yeah.
Okay. The points I'm trading for something that I wouldn't. So for instance, on the Rolex illustration, I'd like to have a Rolex. If anybody wants to gift one, I'll take it. You know, I'd even take a fake one, you know, whatever.
Yep.
But the deal is that, but if somebody let me trade for it, I'm going to be strutting around with a watch that I wouldn't have paid for, but I've still got something that's higher value than I was willing to pay for. Does that make sense?
That I agree. That I totally agree with. I think that my problem is assigning full value to that, because I think it does depend on who you are. Like, as everybody, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go. No, I was interrupting.
It's so funny. I hopped in one of these Discords and I saw that somebody said, I think that Travis would be willing to stay in a hostel in a bunk bed if it meant getting good cent per point. And he may be partially right about that. I'm kidding. I am past hostels and sharing a room. I need a private bathroom, private room. Point is that there is a grain of truth in the sense that I think that my ability to appreciate the nicer things in life is lower than the average person. And with that watch, for example, the full value of that watch is, I'm just going to make it up, I don't know what a Rolex is worth, $10,000. I don't know if that's realistic.
Maybe 20.
$20,000. I would place a total value, like, to me, that actually matters to me, of a couple $100 to make my wife think that I'm, stepping up my style, maybe.
Okay. But Travis, that is, and I'm stealing this from the comments, and we'll get to it in a second, because I just saw one come through. Yeah. That is subjective.
It is subjective.
I'm stating something objective. You're stating something subjective. So how can we even make any kind of value or standard of anything if we do it subjectively?
Well, you have to. The entire purpose of the credit card game is to find your own value. We talk about it all the time, that, some of these flights, like you and I, we kind of scoff at flights that have 0.2 cents per point. We think that's absolutely ridiculous. This entire thing is subjective.
No, it's not. That's the problem. That's the problem, man. I didn't realize my bestest buddy on YouTube is part of the problem. But here's the deal. So here's the deal. That's why we get, but cents per point don't matter, because it's just whatever it, take the trip, have the experience. That is the most willy-nilly. That'd be like saying, well, money doesn't have a real value. I mean, whatever you think it's worth. No. If you take an economy class trip from here to Bogota and you say, but to me, that was worth $100,000. It wasn't.
I think that we're talking around each other there, because like that I agree with you, because what I'm getting at is, my view is that there are two different sets of value. There's market value and there's personal value. I'm as big of a capitalist as there is. I totally agree that, market sets price. But with that said, there's a lot of people that don't view, for example, business class flights that they don't. There are a lot of people out there that view business class flights as carrying more value personally than I value them at personally, which is why when I look up and I say, for example, real example, I booked a Choice hotel for I think it was 8 cents per point or something like that. Yeah, just absurd. It just absurd. But
you got a Choice hotel. That's the but.
No, get out of here with that. No. The problem with that is, in reality, if I had waited a couple weeks, maybe for a different weekend that was less popular, in that scenario, let's be honest, that Choice hotel would have been way cheaper. It probably would have been, I don't know, 3-4 cents per point, way less significant. Did I receive any additional value? In my opinion, I did not. And the whole reason that I'm bringing all this up is, at the end of the day, it's like, how much money am I really saving? Because to me, that's what's going to determine the value that I got. That's why, I want, if I'm going to get 2 cents per point, I want it to be a real 2 cents per point. I wanted to be there on that day. I wanted to be that exact property. There were no alternatives that were cheaper. That is real savings, aka real value to me.
I think we have some semantics going on here, problems, but
yeah.
And so I kind of see where you're coming from, but at the same time, I'm just uncomfortable. Remember, I'm a philosophy professor, so it's like real. That word, I mean, what's real? What's tangible? And so I understand when you say, is it worth the real value to me? What you're meaning is the subjective value to me.
Subjective value.
But the real value is 8 cents a point. That's the real value.
I agree. I agree. I think that there's definitely two different cases two different definitions. There's real value, which is market value, and then the subjective value. And the analogy that I wanted to bring up that I didn't, was I think scarcity, these brand names is like the prime example. Like I could not care less about brand names like Gucci and Supreme. And one of the things that I see all the time, I have friends that do this, unfortunately. Let's pretend that there's a $10,000 Supreme backpack. I don't know if you've heard of that brand. And they go to you and they say, hey, I will sell you this backpack for $200. But in reality, that exact backpack is made in some factory in China with a different brand, and it's actually being sold at $75. And then a lot of people will end up spending $200 because they feel like they got a good deal because it's normally sold at, $2,000. To me, yes, you did technically get a good deal on the market rate, but to me, you lost $125.
So you only buy great value products.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Okay, I understand now.
If it's the same, because if you compared like the Bentley and Genesis, those are two very different products. I can tell you. I mean, I've never been in a Genesis, but I can tell you it's a lot smoother than my car. Those are different products. But if it's the same product, just for the sake of ease, yeah.
All right. Well, let's go to some comments and see what they think. Let's thinking you probably won that only because I still think I'm right. But
and on top of that, I talked a lot. I dominated.
You do. I think more people think like you do. So let's see. Family Travel John, hello. Hate to miss this, but I'll be in Seattle. Catch the replay. Sounds good. Swisish, a GOAT trophy. Oh, he's going to explain it to me. Good. A GOAT trophy is one of the ways people can support their favorite creators. People purchase gems from YouTube, and instead of a super chat, send them in the form of weird things like a GOAT trophy. Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
That it's weird. It's just different than what I've seen, but that's awesome. Thank you. Chad says, haha, my mom had a Vega. I'm old. Yeah, ours was a Caprice Classic. That's what my parents drove me across the country and made us a bed in the back.
We had an old Expedition. It got
exactly. I've said it a million times. If you find $100 bill on the ground, isn't worthless because you didn't expect to find it. Thank you, Chad. Thank you.
But Chad, I would disagree with you there. Sorry, not trying to hurt your feelings. I hope everybody knows
we're
all
worth
friends.
$100. How can you disagree?
No, I fully agree with that. He just picked up $100 that is spendable value. When you book a flight that's priced out at $10,000, you didn't pick up $10,000. You just got a steak that would have cost the exact same on a day that was cheaper. But, I mean.
Okay. I see your point.
But I respect
but
it, Chad. I respect it.
Okay. Nurakan, how's it all going? Good to have you here, Nurakan. Chad says, in addition to that, people don't look at cost holistically. It's only the initial outlay that they're concerned with. Some people want a Bentley but can't afford to own it. Well, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
100%. Dim says, just because someone feels that something isn't worth whatever value the market dictates, it doesn't mean that someone isn't willing to pay for that. Very subjective, and points are not subjective. I think Dim is in the Bop corner on this one.
I agree up until points are not subjective. That's where I disagree with you. But continue.
Dim, pretty cut and dry in my opinion. Chad says, some people can buy a Bentley and can't afford to own it. Yeah. I mean, the maintenance on those things, crazy. Stephen Baker, my game plan from now on for hotels is if it's one night, go economy. If multiple nights, go nice of a place as I can. For flights, it's based on the time in the air. That's a pretty good metric to use.
I respect that.
I do too. Ian, exactly, Travis. Market value and finances have nothing to do with what the value is. Happiness and memory is only value that matters. Okay, Team Travis.
And
Ian is Team Travis.
That is, don't get me wrong, it sounds a little frou-frou, but at the end of the day, man, I actually, really good example. Bop will make a lot of business class flights that I'm just going to make up a number, but I would say this is probably relatively accurate. $800 worth of points for a one-way in business.
See, there you go with that dollars and points business.
Yeah, all that goes.
That's an objective statement, by the way.
It is. It is. All that goes through my mind in that scenario is I could get a round trip with that same amount of points in economy. That's all that goes through my mind. So, yeah.
Yes, you could. Caldares became a channel member. Hey, Caldares,
hey, nice.
Good to have you. I think you've been one before, but good to have you. Dim, what you're describing is utility, RM. A car is a car, no matter the brand, and you're describing utility. Yeah. I mean, it gets you a watch is a watch, a car is a car. That's a good way to put it.
Sparkling fake stars on the roof of the Bentley ain't utility.
Do they have that?
Yeah, apparently. I think it's Bentley. I know that there's a super nice car brand that does that.
Medic says, welcome, Caldares. Good to have him on board. Taciturn says, price is objective, value is subjective. That said, 1,000 gems is worth $9.99. Hey, gotcha. Thank you again. Awesome, nice. Awesome gift. I appreciate it very,
basically
very much.
1 cent per point.
Huh?
So basically 1 cent per point.
I'm trying to decide, is that comment in Team Bop or Team Travis?
That's a good question, man. That is a good question.
I might be a little biased, but I think it sounds a little like Team Bop to me.
I think it might be.
Stephen Baker, difference between a Rolex and a Timex is a Rolex can outlive you. I don't know. I've seen some guys who have some stinking old Timexes. I mean,
I know nothing about either.
Ian, $0. Not sure what that means.
Maybe it was context of a different comment. I don't know.
I mean, maybe. Dim, seems like you guys are conflating two different topics.
That was exactly my point, Dim.
That's what we figured out. We figured out. Chad, that's an argument between intrinsic and extrinsic valuation. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Medic, yeah, I think the argument's more about vocabulary than anything else. Maybe so, but at least we're willing to argue it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Mike Newland, the man, the myth, the legend, 20 Rewards Master memberships.
Nice. Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate that very, very, very much, as I always do. Crossfire, if you get one of those memberships, by the way, don't forget to thank Mike. Crossfire's laughing. And maybe it's a little bit entertaining. That's the hope, isn't it? Coworker, I feel like the example here is comparing a Tucson to your GV70. Same class of car, same brand, but maybe the deal you got for the GV70 was a better value than buying a Tucson. Okay. Yeah, that's like I drive an Acura and there's a Honda model that's almost the same. I mean, there's similar parts. That makes sense. Chad says, if you use water as an example, it's the difference between what you would pay for a cup of water in a Burger King in any town USA versus what you eat for the same water from the last well, what you would for the same water from the last well in Death Valley.
He's just saying that a time whenever you really, really want water versus whenever you don't need it at all.
Yeah. It's about need, present need.
Exactly.
And I don't need that business class flight, so maybe that's a point to that.
Value versus market price.
Medic says Mike's doing his thing. He is. Crossfire, very generous of you, Mike. It is. Mike is a generous guy. Michael Martinez says, Mike, you're a beast.
Michael, I like your videos, by the way. He also does credit card
Baker,
videos.
Official Chad Money Minutes, 100% agreeing with Chad. Coder, in my opinion, points are like stock options. The market defines what it's worth, but it's completely different than what I pay. Oh, yeah.
Well, and I think that like what plays in there is like we get to choose when we're buying into the market. And yeah.
But we get to choose with points too, because I run seats.arrow searches and points and all that and search out. So I don't know. No. Chad says value is scarcity, exclusivity plus utility. Okay?
See, that does boil it down to a number. And yeah, I think well, exclusivity and utility. I guess utility encompasses kind of my take. Yeah.
I love this comment. LOL, this is hilarious. You're both right. Let's just all get along. Travis, internet hug.
Hey, just in case you missed at the beginning of the live, we tried to make it very clear this was meant to be a debate, and we're going to be friends at the end. I hope everybody is aware of that.
It's a gentlemanly discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Dragon says, thank you for your membership, Mike. Medic, all are comparing it very different metrics. Okay.
Definitely.
Stephen Baker, the econ nerd in me is loving the microeconomics in this conversation. All right, good.
It's much easier that way.
Yeah. Chad says, I agree with the value proposition of a business class flight for someone my height is paramount on a flight over any ocean. To argue value proposition versus value itself can be a never-ending debate.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree. That's part of why
That's a great way of putting it.
That's part of why we chose this topic.
Yeah. We knew it'd be fun. Okay. Sleepy Rod says, I'm confused about what exactly you guys are debating. Can you clarify? Maybe this will help the debate. Well, hopefully we did. Chad says, that doesn't account for profit margins, which in turn differentiates revenue from value. I can't agree with that pros on the Supreme bag. Supreme bag. What do you mean by that?
In my example, I guess what I'm confused by is what he can't agree with. Oh. My example was that, there's a Supreme backpack that costs $2,000. Somebody's selling it to you for $200, but it's built in a factory where there's another backpack with a great value brand on it that's exactly the same for $75. In my view, you've now wasted $125.
I thought I had a bag that was like the most expensive thing ever because I have something called a saddleback leather bag made in Texas, and they're kind of spendy, $400 or $500. Yeah. I never heard of one that was $2,000 though. That's just out of this world.
Well, dude, there's T-shirts from Supreme that are like, I think like $800 or something like that.
So it's Supreme cost. Okay.
Yes, exactly. It's brand. It's 100% brand.
This is great. TS says credit card points should be an economics class.
Well, yeah. my point in my debate, and it's why everybody was like, we're arguing over two different definitions, is that I'm pulling things away from, because I agree with market value. What I don't agree is that market value is always applicable to us 100% of the time. It sometimes comes down to like with Chad, the dude's tall. His value of a very large seat is going to be greater than somebody who's shorter. I don't know how tall Chad is, but I'm assuming that I'm shorter than him. His value of that seat's going to be higher than mine, which means he's got more incentive to spend more money on that seat. He's incentivized to be the guy that spends $10,000 on that seat.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, here's something awesome. Joe FTPA gives a $10 gift.
Hey,
Thank
nice.
you, Joe. Thank you. Hey, I'm converting you to my golf claps.
Yeah.
All right. Calder says, thanks, medic. Joe also says, have either of you guys looked into MasterCard benefits for express service getting through passport control or immigration? No, I haven't.
I have not. I actually was not even aware that there were benefits there. It always feels like a lot of the benefits that come with the processor itself are pretty thin, although I actually made a video about it. I think it was MasterCard Legends now have access to, I think there's 2 existing lounges.
There's 2, Hong Kong and I think Mexico City. Is that right?
No. That one's not out yet. I think it's like Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Sao Paulo.
And there's a third one coming to.
Yeah, we're going to Hong Kong. We're going to go to one.
Oh, they look nice. They look really nice.
Two of those Legends cards. So
based on the photos, and of course you never know until you show up, but based on the photos, I expect something along the lines of like, DFW Capital One Lounge. I don't think it's going to be like Sapphire Lounge ish, but they look pretty nice.
Okay. Well, we'll check it out. Do a video on it.
Oh, yeah.
Christian says, I love this format. I hate when everyone just nods and smiles when you do the YouTuber crossovers. It's okay to disagree and through discourse, refine your opinions and perspectives.
I agree.
That's what we're trying to do, Christian. You got it. That's exactly what we're trying to do.
And I tell you what, I know in the next topic, which has to do with hotel redemptions, Rewards Master vehemently disagrees with me. So
yeah, for sure. Chad says, "Oh, I misunderstood. I thought you were saying that if you didn't get the Supreme bag at cost, then you wasted money." I stand corrected.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Some of us, Dim says, some of us call those World Legend lounges built
Lounges. That and then the City Strata Elite too. And then let's see. Let me ask you. Damn laughing. Let me ask
Travis.
Travis.
Has a question for you. Let me ask Travis if you had a coupon that gave you a free Starbucks coffee and you used it in an airport where the coffee is marked up, do you think you got a better deal even though it's a coffee?
I guess it depends on the math there. Is this
depends on the math? No.
Like is it counteracting the entire thing? Like in both scenarios, is it a free coffee? Because that's actually a very good point, Coder. If what you're saying, let's just say that the coffee is normally $6. I use the coupon, I get it for free. But at the airport, it was marked up to $7 or $8. I feel better about myself. But yeah, my view is that I didn't necessarily get better value because I got the same product. But I do feel better about myself. It's a boost to my ego.
Yeah. Well, you should feel better about yourself because you got a $7 coffee instead of a $3 coffee.
That's true. That's
so
true. That's actually, frankly,
objectively speaking.
That was a very good comment, Coder.
Yeah, it was. Kale Mary says Globe Card too. So I think it's a World Legend MasterCard too.
Yep.
That's what the point is. Okay. I think we're caught up on comments. So Travis, you did well there. You came at me. So my thing with you is on hotels. Okay. First of all, well, come on.
Choice hotels.
Choice hotels? Wyndham hotels?
You know what's funny? I before you get to insulting me, I which I'm very excited for. I'm actually staying at a choice hotel purposefully, and I'm spending more than I normally would, which is $100 a night worth of points. I know people really don't like it that I phrase it. I know people hate that I phrase it that way. I'm going to be spending, let me move the decimal place over 10,000 points per night, which is way more than I normally do, just to show you guys what you can get at a choice hotel. I'm going to do a video over it. It's going to be great.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, it's this hotel thing. I mean, I don't know how to. I had several here, but I might just wrap them up into one because we're already at 37 minutes. Okay, so my good buddy and wise beyond his years, travel expert Travis argues for things like Wells Fargo, Choice being one of the best redemptions that there is. And I love this statement. This one just gets me. And you might have noticed my face on this before a few times. As long as it doesn't have any bed bugs. Okay. So the likelihood, here's the thing, is when I'm booking a hotel, I actually want to like preemptively guard against the likelihood of bed bugs. And I'm thinking that you have a higher percentage of bed bug encounters.
No, you know what's what? Sorry, I'm not going to interrupt.
Than I do at Conrad's. Okay, I mean maybe not, but that's kind of side note on this. The thing is that you've been arguing, and there's two parts to this. Okay, number one is you argue that these are great redemptions, and I understand you're coming from a economy traveler, but I'm just going to tell you you should just pay cash for $100 hotel. I mean, just pay cash for it. Then use your points for international economy travel or even domestic, because you are a person and a city person and a built person with Alaska. You can consistently get 2.7 to 3.3 cents per point on domestic airline tickets. Why are you transferring them to Bedbug Central? Why?
So multiple parts there. I guess there's the numbers thing that you had asked about second, but let me start with the niceness of the hotel. I do kind of undersell the places that I stay just because I'm kind of like, I'm leaning into the reputation that I have as an economy traveler. Frankly, out of all of the hotels that Danny and I have stayed at in the last, I don't know, 5 years, there was probably only one that I think that was atrociously bad. But that had to do with the fact that we needed to go there purely for parking. I actually talk about it in my upcoming video. I was there purely because they had ridiculously free, well, not free. I was paying like, I don't know, $5 or $10 per night to park at this hotel, and they would shuttle us to the DFW airport. And that one was bad. That one would, if y'all saw the place that I stayed in, it was a choice hotel. It was horrible. Outside of that, my places they're not terrible, but they're definitely not the Conrad. You're not seeing marble or stone columns or anything like that, because to me, this is about travel, people. It's not about staying in your hotel with a fancy screen and a meal that has nothing to do with the local cuisine. It has to do with getting outside of your hotel, which is why I'm like, I do not understand. Like, people are talking about, I'm going to Greece to stay at, I don't know where the fancy ones are. Maybe there's not a Park Hyatt in Greece. I'm going to Paris for the Park Hyatt, and I'm getting a great redemption value. I only had to spend thousands of dollars worth of points. I do not understand that at all. You're in Paris. Are you going to be spending that much time at your hotel? And then two, your question about cent per point, or do you want me to pause there before we get there?
No, go ahead.
The cent per point at the end of the day doesn't matter how large the redemption is, whether it's $100 or, 400. And again, I keep using, I'm stuck in this. Y'all are going to have to stick with me. I will always say dollars with the points, whether it's $100 with the points, $75 with the points, or $500 worth of points. What I look for is the cent per point value. And if the cent per point value is high, I take it, because I know that normally, and another thing, did you get to watch Spencer's video last night?
Yeah.
So what's funny? I normally see things a little differently than he does, but I actually agree with the majority of what he said. The only thing that I will say is
I think he was hard on us hardcore guys.
Well, which is fine. I mean, that's totally fine. And frankly, I do think that there's a balance there, which I totally understand. The only thing that I would push back on, and I think it relates to this topic here, is that I think there's an implication that if the cent per point is not high enough and we choose not to make the redemption, that we will then not go on that trip. And that is
on the trip anyway.
That is where I will push back. That is where I definitely see things a little differently. Like, I'm going to spend cash to make it happen. I know that there are other people like, Dugras. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Dugras likes to keep all of his trip free via points and miles. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Yeah. That is not how I operate.
He cashes stuff in at 1 cent per point to pay for his parking and all that stuff.
Yes. And see, like, I see it very differently than that. So at the end of the day, the answer to your question is, with hotels, if I look up and let's say, and it depends on the currency, but let's just say that I'm using, something that's less valuable. Let's take out city and let's take out built. If I look up and I can get a cent per point of 2 cents per point, I'm taking it all day. I'm locking it in, especially as an economy traveler, because domestically, yes, you can beat that, but it's not super frequent, especially whenever you have specific dates.
But I guess the question to me is, why would you burn your points on something you could buy for $80 or $100 or something,
Because at the end of the day, I'm saving, let's say that it's $80. If I'm getting 2 cents per point, I'm saving $40 right there.
Yeah. I guess so. You're the guy who picks up a penny off the sidewalk.
100%. Actually, if y'all want to know why I'm so frugal, I grew up in an interesting household where, my family never struggled, but my dad lived like we were in Great Depression era. And this is a real story. My dad literally stopped traffic because I kid you not, he looked out the window, he saw change on the street, and he stopped traffic to pick it up.
That's a sickness.
That was the household that I grew up in. And you wonder why I'm frugal with my stuff. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Well, let me ask you this then. I understood everything you were saying there, but here's the thing, is I think that if we're talking about the subjective versus objective, I think your judgment of, you're making a judgment call on why do people, you're just going to sit in the hotel? Well, why aren't you out seeing Paris? Well, some people have been to Paris 11 times.
Well,
you know?
in that scenario, stay at the Park Hyatt in the U.S.
But here's the deal. Maybe they got to be there for a conference, or maybe they're going there because they're positioning, or maybe there's subjective reasons. The other thing is who is it to say? I mean, who are we to say if we want to dive into the subjective? You know, I'm the objective person, but to dive into the subjective, who is it to say that it's a better experience to stand at the base of the Eiffel Tower with all the guys with machine guns standing around you, which they are, or if it's better to enjoy the spa at the Park Hyatt or the pool or who's to say? I mean,
so I'm the type of person where I like that stuff. I was telling Bop this and some of like what I enjoy the most from travel. And it is kind of why I sometimes feel like I'm on an island at times. I was telling Bop when I was in India, this is a real story, but it's an entertaining one. I was walking down the street with my buddy, and keep in mind, you know, sanitation there is just atrocious. I mean, it is the worst of the worst. And in some cases, people are so they're in situations where they literally throw their waste out the window. Somebody threw a bag of, you already know what I'm describing, and it almost hit me. It landed 3 feet in front of me, and it's one of the most entertaining stories I have I have many stories like that. But
it would have been more entertaining if it would have hit you.
Tell me that wouldn't have been more entertaining for the show. I mean, come on.
It's like when I went with my kids to the zoo in San Francisco years ago, and I wasn't wearing a cap back then. Maybe that's psychologically in my subconscious why I wear one so much now. Yeah. Because, man, this bird just decided that my head was a target. And I mean, it was like it was dripping down, and it was. I got
that in Portugal. We were me and my wife off of the same bird dookie got hit. I mean, it was like we were showered. We literally thought it started to rain, and then it was very nice. It proves to you that locals care because they helped clean both me and my wife up. So yeah, been there.
Bird dookie.
But yeah, no. So to your
the bird dookie debate, that could be what we call
100%. To your question, yeah, I guess I just do not relate at all to the idea of going on a trip and staying in the hotel. I just don't get it.
And here's the deal for Nona and I. And I mean, I'm not disparaging what value to you, because Nona, when we're there, she likes to get out and we go excursions and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
But one of the best parts of it is the hotel and the flight. The flight is awesome.
The flight, I can get the flight. I can understand the flight.
The flight is awesome.
Because keep in mind, I'm in the back with an inflatable pillow and like some like very cheap Bluetooth aux port so I can connect my headphones to the screen, and I'm trying to come up with creative ways of leaning up on the side of the plane. I get the flight part. It's the hotel,
and we're in the front with filet mignon, baby.
I know, it's absurd. It's absurd. Yeah.
But the other thing you said that I think maybe a little bit didn't apply right is you said, I'm all about cents per point. Nope, you'd be at the Park Hyatt if you were.
That's true. But again, it goes back to value. What value personally, not market rate, personally am I getting? And the value that I'm getting at Park Hyatt is, I don't know what it costs to stay at a Park Hyatt. Sorry, guys. I don't know anything about that. I'm spending $700 worth of points to make that happen. I could have got the same amount of personal value, which is a comfortable bed, AC, working Wi-Fi, TV for movie nights whenever Danny and I are tired. We got the same thing for $100 worth of points.
Fair enough. Let's get back to some comments.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Aegis Gaming.
Manuel Jimenez. They say the true winner of any argument is the person that comes out with the most knowledge. In this case, the audience are the winners. Thank you.
Welcome, I hope we didn't make you dumber, man.
I hope not too. Joe says, if MasterCard takes over the clone Chase Sapphire Lounge at Hong Kong, it would be pretty cool.
Joe, it's interesting.
Closed.
I actually
closed.
No, I was going to say.
I said cloned. It's closed.
Oh, is it? So I was wondering, did they take up that space, or did they? Yeah, I really don't know.
No, I know they opened one though, and I think it's currently open.
Because the timing of the closing and the opening of the new lounge is very, I don't know, coincidence.
T. Sanderson says everyone has their own utility function. Market price stays the same. Utility function determines the decision making, doesn't make it right or wrong.
That is how I should have phrased it. That right there is how I should have phrased it.
There we go. There we go. But when we push at each other about it, maybe makes us rethink some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, I wouldn't pay $10,000 for Virgin Atlantic. I mean, I wouldn't. So, I mean, I did rethink that a little bit when you said that. I still think that's the market value, though.
It is. It is the market value. It is what somebody else is willing to pay.
K-State Nate says, in general, I agree with Bop. Team Bop. That's 2-1, I think, Travis. I mean, not like it's a competition or anything like that, but that the price is the price. But there are times the price is unusually. This one's on both sides.
Yeah,
unusually inflated.
No, he played it both. He was a nice guy. He was a nice guy.
It makes sense. It's just use standard price. I think we get a point in each column on that one. So still tied. Nuracan, Rewards Master, check out the Pier Lounge if you have time. One of my favorites. He must be meaning in Hong Kong. We're going to be in Taipei too. Anybody know any great lounges in Taipei? Chad says, heading off to the gym, but I'm jealous, man. I love this. No one ever debates me, and Lord knows I've courted it. Haha, good stuff, RM. Keep it up. And a Comfort Plus is an upgrade. Laugh out loud. Well, maybe we'll have Chad on here one day because, man, we could mix it up with Chad's Money Minutes. He's got some opinions. I mean, that would be fun. That'd be fun. Medic. When I was younger, I used to say choice hotels because that was pretty much what I could afford. Even then, though, I would stay at the good rated Comfort Inns. Now I have standards.
Yeah, I 100% agree, man. I 100% agree. I don't know how to. I don't even know if I can share my screen. There was one.
Is he implying you don't have standards, my friend?
I think maybe. But in his defense, there was one. The one that I was describing at DFW. Oh my God. Because Danny usually she doesn't complain, but we went in. I remember we went into the elevator, and number one, it kind of like shook, and they've got like writing on the wall, and the lights flashing a little bit. It was nothing to brag about.
A medic's calling out Chad, and Chad says, "And Travis, if I'm not subbed to you, it will be forthcoming." Cheers, guys.
Hey, nice.
Thanks.
I appreciate it, man.
If you watch it later, thanks for being here. Coder says, Choice is selling their points for 57 cents each.
And that's what I wanted.
It can't be better than 1.1 cent per point.
And so actually that was one of the things.
But bed bugs are included.
So when I was preparing for this debate, that was one of the things when I was talking with Rewards Master about preparing for all of this, I was telling him I feel very strongly about the value versus market price debate. But whenever it came to like the hotel thing, there were caveats. And this was one of them. Actually, I think it was like, it wasn't last night. Maybe it was the day before that. They actually just ended a sale that Coder, I think, is referencing. They were selling their points for essentially 0.57 cents per point. And in that scenario, I agree with them. It's not good value because, again, you have to take into account opportunity cost. If you're going to cash out your Wells Fargo points for essentially what I equate to an opportunity cost of 0.5 cents, and Choice is selling theirs at 0.57, it's 15% difference. Buy the points instead. I agree with you, Coder.
First of all, sorry for the tragedy in your family. I support both sides. If I can get a better hotel in business class with reasonable amount, I'll do it. Thank you, NN. I appreciate it. We're doing some better, so I appreciate it. TS says 20 to 30-year-old traveler versus a 50-year-old traveler for once.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a lot of it. How do you know I'm 50 years old? I mean,
well, I'm kind of flattered. I mean, he helped me out. I definitely not in my 20s, that's for sure.
We'll leave it there. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
Coder, you can tell Travis is a young man with a good back. Once a cheap hotel causes your back to hurt all week, you understand the value proposition of a good hotel.
You'd be surprised, Coder. I actually have a bad upper back because I joined CrossFit. Y'all can make fun of me in the comments for being an idiot for that. But as a result, it's why whenever people bring up their business class flights, the lay flat seats, that's when my back kills me. But Yep. Totally.
Joe from the Credit Card Connection says hello. Good to have you here,
Hey, what's up, Joe?
I know you've got a good live coming up. As soon as we're done here, I'll hop on there and say hello.
Ian, economy traveler.
Ian, I don't know if he's calling you out or joining your team there.
No, I'm telling you, man, there are so few. I am one of very few in the points and mile space that travels.
Well, hold on. In the creator space. I don't think
yeah, even in my comments, man, don't get me wrong, there have been a few. And I remember that I like it. By the way, anybody that's watching, it's really nice as a creator when you have a photo because it's much easier to remember you. But I remember everybody that comments and says that they're an economy traveler because I feel so siloed. But yeah, no.
Well, we love you anyway there, Travis. It's awesome. Coder, yep, I like sleeping in a bed, flying across the ocean, and being rested and ready to go when I land.
I hear you there.
Mike says, I'm for Travis on this one. I try to book as much as I can only on points. My cash is better for me in my bank than it does in a hotel's pocket or airline pocket. I can see that.
Same, man.
Just Gaming's here, says, hey, Travis and Bop.
Good to see you, Just Gaming.
Medic, I'll have to agree with Travis. Oh, Team Travis is winning.
Let's go.
If you can get a really good redemption cent per point, then the out-of-pocket shouldn't matter. Okay. And Medic's a smart guy about all this. Coder, after exploring Paris for a day, I want a hotel with a fancy tub to rest in so I can do it again the next day, baby.
It's so funny. Okay, for anybody that's been to Paris, tell me, because I've traveled a lot. If y'all are ever interested, you could check out my Instagram. It's tagged in the description. One of the few places that I have not been, I still have not been to France, believe it or not. I've never been to Paris. And it's crazy because you'll hear such conflicting experiences. You'll hear people that are like, oh my God, it was dirty. I didn't feel super safe. Pickpockets. I heard that 1,000 times. I actually had my cousin
that's
got
everywhere.
pickpocketed. Yeah. But then there are other people that will say that it was the best city that they've ever been. If y'all have been, tell me how it is. Let's see if we can get a consensus.
I've been a couple times.
Yeah. What was your unfiltered impression?
Dirty.
Yeah. That's what I've heard too.
We saw all this stuff. We went to the Louvre and we went to the Eiffel Tower and all that. Mm-hmm. And then we went back again and went to Disney Paris. I enjoyed that. There were no lines. I like no lines. So that was fun. Coworker says, you could also stay in a really fancy place and still go out and do stuff. Good point.
Coworker. I agree. But coworker.
Maybe after a long day out, I want to come back to a fancy place with great service.
But coworker, don't you feel like you're missing out on some of the value that you paid for? That's kind of my problem with it. But I hear you on the go back and spend time at a fancy place. Hey, Nona, how are you?
I'm good. Just got off a work call.
So he's arguing for Quality Inn and
I'm arguing for Roadway Inn.
Do not say this to my man.
By the way, audience,
I don't want him to know there is a Quality.
Tell him about our La Quinta experience.
In Charlotte. I thought that was a marriage code. We couldn't talk about it. It was so bad. It was so bad. He made me promise not to tell the kids because he's had a bad rep. He gets and they really. When
I was your age, I stayed in cheap hotels.
We stayed in
like the Boxcar Willie.
We stayed in one really bad one, and then he spent years and years and years trying to get out of that because every time they wouldn't let him book the hotel.
Did y'all? So like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'll stay at these lower end hotels, but I'll always do research, always without fail. There's only been one exception, and it ended badly. You looked at reviews and it was still that bad?
He did not.
Well, our flight landed at midnight. We had to fly out at 6 the next morning because the flight was canceled. So
it was bad.
So
you didn't have much time.
We just had to grab something.
No.
Oh, okay.
And we really
La Quinta?
We weren't there very long.
Yeah.
So I gave him a pass, but it was his one and only pass.
Maybe the worst night in 34 years of marriage.
Because I will say, if you don't do research, I'm sorry, but there's a little bit of self-harm going on there. Actually, you know what's funny?
No, she doesn't think it's self-harm. She thinks it's her harm.
No, I don't care. I don't know if you know, or I don't know if you care about the credit card stuff, but recently the Sapphire Preferred added a multiplier, 3x on like homestays. Is that what you call it? Airbnb, Verbo.
Oh, yeah.
And I talked about in my video that with Airbnb, I never have bad experiences with Airbnb.
Oh, yeah.
Ever. And everybody was like, oh, you need to give. I'm actually making a video on that. And one of the things that I'll hear people say is that they're only checking the star rating. And that's all that they read. And it's like, dude, you got to read the reviews because not everybody cares about the same thing. At the end of the day, you got to read the reviews. And Bop, I'll give you a pass. You didn't have time. Self-inflicted, though.
Only pass. But I will say that's
pressure.
It's interesting you say that about the Airbnbs because I have stayed in several over the course, like when I've gone with some of my girlfriends on girls' trips and stuff. And I want him to do more Airbnbs when we're with family and stuff, but he doesn't like to because of the points and all of that.
Yeah, because when we go with family, who wants who to pay for everybody for the whole thing?
Yes, but in Airbnb, he could, right?
That's an opportunity to pay for everybody, get the points, and have everybody pay you back.
Well,
everybody in the comments knows this. I'm just saying.
I'm glad to hear that there's going to be some benefit for Airbnb because
you know what's funny is I choose Airbnb over hotels anytime, unless I've got a free hotel where I'm getting really good cent per point, where it's a better deal than staying at an Airbnb. I choose Airbnb every time.
Yeah.
Well, Nona's going on about this Airbnb to make Travis feel good about himself. But let me tell you, if Nona has to choose between the Conrad, the Waldorf, and the Airbnb, what she choose?
I know. I know
the
the answer to that one.
Kids.
No,
about the
forget them.
But
they can stay in the Quality Inn down the road.
I'm meaning when we do travel with family. He doesn't ever want to do an Airbnb. And when we're by ourselves, I want the Conrad.
Is it the space? You want your own space?
Yes, I do. But he got no.
Grandkids are wonderful, but they're very loud.
No, I want the grandkids with us.
I usually, whenever I'm traveling with my wife's family, she's Mexican from Mexico. They are very loud. We end up staying in an Airbnb altogether, and that can be quite the situation.
Wow.
That's for sure. It's a good thing that Danny's dad doesn't watch this. So.
Our grandkids, not Mexican, but very loud.
Yep.
They are loud. Well, it's nice to see you.
It's good to see you, Nona.
I'm gonna go get something to drink and eat.
See ya.
Well, he's been wailing on your man in this debate. He's
it's
winning
been equal
right now.
It's been equal. No. I think a lot of people agree with you.
So gracious. All right, back to comments.
All right.
Agreeing with Coder. Counterpoint. You can get a Holiday Inn Express for less than $300 a night in Anchorage, Alaska. Sometimes you need to spend significant amounts of money on hotels, regardless of the quality.
It's good. No, I agree with you. And again, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. You got to do research, man. Like you got to do research. There are some decent, cheap hotels out there, and then there are really bad ones.
Oh yeah. TS says, imagine flying 20 hours to China and then staying in a hotel with the exact same food as at home. LOL.
Yes. Danny and I would stay at hotels, and the idea of not going out and having the local cuisine is, to me, preposterous.
That's why you have so much experience with Montezuma's Revenge.
Unfortunately, you actually do. You have a point there. That's 100% why.
Because usually in the restaurant at the Conrad, no Montezuma's Revenge.
I don't want the hotel breakfast. I'm not eating eggs and waffles.
Did everybody hear that? He doesn't want the hotel breakfast. That's because you're staying in a hotel that has a waffle machine.
But like, let's say that you're traveling. A really good example, because I'm not usually going. I'm not going to Paris usually. I'm going to places with some of the best cuisine in the whole world. Mexico, in India, Thailand. It's part of why I have Montezuma's Revenge. But dude, the food is number one better than the food at the hotel, in my opinion. And on top of that, it costs like 50 cents.
50 cents.
10 minutes of joy for 15 hours of misery. That's what that is.
I've had Montezuma's Revenge a lot longer than that.
Joe says, while it's true that value is in the eye of the beholder, cent per point is objective. And if you're not getting a good redemption rate, then using a cashback setup might be better. You're being
I agree. I agree.
So that's a good point, Joe.
I totally agree.
DG says, you guys are simply arguing the same point dressed in semantics. Value only applies to things that are choices, not needs.
I think that was what people were getting at the beginning. And frankly, that was kind of what, like, I mean, that's why I kept bringing up value versus market price. Yeah.
Okay. Guess who's commenting now? Luke from Luke's Points and Miles.
Good to see you, Luke.
Uncle Luke. Here's the thing about valuing Virgin flights. I priced them, and the one way is 11,000, but the round trip is only 5,000. So maybe that needs to be modified. Maybe not. Oh, that's
interesting.
That's wild.
I actually didn't know that.
Joe says, while it's true that value is in the eye of the beholder, since per point is objective, and if you're not getting great redemptions, then a cashback setup might be better than transferable currencies. You know what's interesting is these comments are all over the place on people's opinions. And I think that kind of demonstrates the things we're talking about today.
And like the cent per point is objective. I like that because, like, again, just, real example, the New York example with my Choice Hotel redemption, I got like 8 cents per point. But if I could have reasonably waited 1 week, I didn't have to go that week. So if I can get a much better price a week later, in which, that scenario doesn't affect me, did I really get 8 cents per point, or did I get 4 cents per point?
Well, and I think Uncle Luke's puts it well here, because he says either way, a value of 14, 15 cents per point is not in keeping with the spirit of what we're trying to calculate. I like that phrasing, the spirit of what we're trying to calculate. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Nuracan, the Galactic Lounge in Taipei, if you're flying on Starlux. We are. Got to run, but I'll catch the replay later. That's coworker and laughing. TS is laughing. TS,
I think that was me talking about my economy escapades.
Yeah. Girlfriend is from China. This is TS. I'm so glad she introduced me to credit cards. 25 and got 18 cards. Whoa, that's expert mode.
In the last 24 months. Don't get me wrong, my velocity's high. My velocity ain't that high.
That's high. Kale says, the way I see it, I already pay a ton of cash for annual fees, so I use the points for almost everything. Even if it means getting only 1 cent per point, I can always earn more points, so I don't hold on to them. Okay, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a way to value it and makes sense. Keg says, any money saved on flights and hotels can be spent on activities. So as long as the cent per point is good, I'm all on board using points even for cheap hotels. Okay, so the question is what's good? And that's probably valued differently in everybody's minds. Because I think what you think is a good cent per point might be a little different than what I do. And I think others would even be lower than you. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ian, Travis, great if you love food, worth it if you like museums. He's talking about Paris, I think.
Yep.
It's not on my constant repeat list like the Greek islands, Japan, or Italy.
Good.
I agree. I like Greece better. I like Greece a lot better. And I like Italy better too.
And whenever Danny and I do make it to France, I plan on almost immediately getting out of Paris. I plan on going like the countryside.
I love strawberry hotels in Scandinavia. NN says are nice and be booked by Choice points. Also, Cambria Ascent hotels are part of Choice. Yeah, I've heard those.
I'm actually going to be booking the Ascent, one of the Ascent hotels in Finland here shortly.
You might like the nicer things. That would be good.
And I'm spending $100 worth of points on it. What the heck?
And Mike gives the greatest comment. There's the best creator here, Nona.
Yes, 100%.
Nona put out a new video today about Condor Business Class, so check that out, everybody, on Away Again Travels. Christian, maybe the question is how cheap is cheap regarding hotels. Where do you draw the line? Radisson Collection, Cambria, Park Plaza, Comfort, Clarion. How about Super 8?
Roadway
Motel 6?
Motel 6. Those are kind of the Clarion's different. Okay. And then this is a really good example. Comfort Inns. There are ones that are actually, Bop, don't gasp. I actually consider them relatively nice.
What?
And I'm
Motel
actually
6s?
No. Comfort Inns. I think it was a Comfort Inn that I stayed in Rome. It's right smack dab in the middle of Rome. Don't get me wrong. It's not large, but it's plenty nice. Like it was, there's nothing wrong with it. Whereas, the ones in the US, they can be really hit and miss in the US.
Yes, they can. Norvicio, finally somebody said it. No one wants that hotel breakfast. Go outside and get traditional cuisine.
Thank you. Yes.
I want the hotel breakfast at the Conrad or the Waldorf overseas that's got 11 buffet lines from food all over the world. I like that, but
don't you want the local cuisine?
What?
Why'd you travel 12 hours if you're going to eat stuff from home?
Well, I'm going to eat other stuff too, but I'm not going to eat it off the street. I get Montezuma's revenge. I'm going to go to a nice restaurant and eat it.
That's fair.
I mean, we eat authentic food everywhere we go, but we don't eat it off the street, Travis.
What's sad is that, like, well, anybody who's traveled a lot in some of these, not, as first world countries, you'll find that it is nearly impossible to dodge Montezuma's revenge. And actually, one really good example, I was in Peru and I ate it. I think one of the nicest hotels I've ever eaten at. It was one of those places where you bring you like a 9-course meal. I was with a girlfriend at the time, so I had splurged, and it was expensive even in Peru. And I got Montezuma's revenge from the meal that I probably spent $200 on.
Okay. I went to Ethiopia twice for 3 weeks each. Ethiopia.
And you didn't get food poisoning?
Huh?
And you didn't get food poisoning?
Except when I did what I was told not to do, which was a local, and I was doing some speaking and traveling and working, and this local, his wife made us chicken in a crock pot.
Yeah.
And I was there, and the local guy said I wouldn't eat that. And a medical doctor I was working with said, "Oh, it's fine." He ate it. And so I went with the medical doctor. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because that's the only time. But I'm telling you, I've eaten in restaurants in villages in Ethiopia where they did not have electricity, and the floor was dirt and the roof was thatch, and did not get sick because I ate only fried food.
Yes, I was just about to say my rule:
no lettuce, no fruit, only fried food.
After experiencing international food poisoning 4 separate times and being hospitalized once, 4 different continents. My philosophy is basically, if it is not boiled or fried, I'm not eating it. It has to be cooked. It has to be cooked.
You got to be careful, buddy, because you could get an amoeba.
They've been bad, and it's to the point where in some cases, and I'm sure that other people have been in these situations. You're with somebody local. Like for example, I traveled to Rwanda. I got a buddy there, and his mom made us a meal, and some of it was not boiled or cooked, and I had to tell my buddy's Rwandan mother that I was not going to eat part of the meal. That's hard to do. That is very difficult to do. Yeah.
Okay. Kale Mary, I like this one. That's because breakfast is bad at the garbage in. In other words, you just don't know what a good breakfast is.
I knew that was what they were going to say when I said that. I had seen that coming.
I mean, I'm sorry, but the powdered eggs at the Comfort Inn ain't the same thing as the omelet station at the Waldorf.
They're not necessarily the same.
Glenris, reading the reviews has saved us many times with Verbo Airbnb. We look at the hotels too, since we're team cheap. Okay, there's somebody on your team.
Hey, nice. Okay.
Medic, I enjoy a good hearty breakfast to get my day started and exploring.
Agreed.
Okay. Servicio, Semper Point requires some nuance. Same exact room costs 1.5 cents per point today and 4 cents per point next week. Booking next week doesn't really give you more value. It's the same exact room. That's kind of what you were saying.
That's exactly what, yep.
Swice says, I'm looking to start my first major travel after my next deployment. I'll fall somewhere in between y'all. Above average flights, mid-tier hotels like Hyatt Place, Regency is my plan. Good plan. TS, thoughts on stacking free night certificate cards like Brilliant, Aspire, Hotel, Choice Select. I'm thinking about trying to line up anniversary dates. Well, I think in a future debate, we're probably going to talk about that some because, you kind of don't really love those free night certificate cards.
I don't love them, but the other answer to that is, and actually, you know, what's funny is I talk about one of these cards in my, basically there's a video that I'm going to be releasing not tomorrow morning, but the morning after that. And it's basically about like cards that are not good. They're not good, but most people think are awful, but have redeeming qualities. One of them is one of these. And the downside to these cards is that it locks you into a brand. And it locks you into using your points on a specific room at a specific time in a specific location. And I like transferable currencies for a reason. They're easy to use when I want to. If I want to go to China and there's not a Hyatt or a Choice Hotel in Shanghai, it doesn't matter. I don't have to use that. I don't have to use that credit because I'm not locked into having to use one. But I know the RM sees it very differently than I.
Yeah, because I mean, yes, I'm locked into Hilton with that free night cert on the Aspire, but you use Wells Fargo, you're locked in to Wyndham.
I can use it when I need to, though. It never expires. And frankly, I'm not even locked into Wyndham. If I want to use it on Avianca or Flying Blue or JetBlue, I can do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's okay. Christian says, okay. Thank you, Christian. RM wins on the food debate. Not even close. I've had Montezuma's revenge.
You don't want to be throwing up out the window of a car, man? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Kale says, nice hotels often have local food in their restaurants. It's not like they're a Chili's.
I agree to some extent. In fact, there was a hotel that Danny and I stayed at. The first thing that comes to my mind is we stayed at, ironically enough, a Choice Hotel when we were in Costa Rica. And they had relatively local food. But I'm sorry, Kale, we're going to have to a little bit disagree there that the quality of what you'll get outside of the hotel versus within the hotel, I think is going to be a little bit better. I don't know. And I know that most people are thinking, well, you're staying at Choice Hotels. Maybe it's nicer at a Hyatt. There's a possibility, but I don't know.
Well, I think we're about close to the end of the comments and we're at an hour and 16 minutes. So you ready to wrap up? You good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It was fun. Travis, I had a blast.
Okay, good. And I hope the audience enjoyed it too.
I hope you all enjoyed it. Well, let me go back and say, Taciturn, thank you so much for the 1,000 gems and the GOAT trophy. I'd never seen that before, but I am deeply, deeply grateful. That is so cool. That must be a new YouTube thing. I didn't know about it. So there was that. Also, Caldards became a channel member. Been one before, I think, but good to have you in the channel membership. Mr. Mike Newland, the man, the myth, the legend, 20 gifted Rewards Master memberships.
You're the man, Mike.
And Joe FTPA gave a $10 super gift. Thank you all so very much. I think we got a couple more comments and then we'll wrap up. Swice says, using points when you need to. Don't force hoarding and go against turn and burn points. Okay, so earn and burn. That's definitely a common philosophy. Dem, 140 MXN at a local Mexican pharmacy, and you'll be 100% in 48 hours.
I know exactly.
Yeah, but I don't want to go through that 48 hours.
I unfortunately know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I enjoy living like a local when I travel. Nice hotel is a plus, but it's mostly just a bed and a bathroom for me. All right, I'm surprised to hear that from Dem because Dem goes in style usually. Kale Mary, agree with the quality of food, Travis. And then
I knew whenever I mentioned that, I knew that people were thinking, well, man, you're not at the nice hotels, which you got a point there.
But you're arguing quality, and it's funny when you're staying at Quality Inns.
Yeah, 100%.
That is the king comment of this whole thing. That is awesome. All right, Medic, it shows on our end that Caldards is a spreadsheet warrior now. Really? Awesome, Caldards. Nice. Welcome to Spreadsheet Warriors. It didn't show that on my end. That's my higher tier membership where I'm going to be scheduling our next session very, very soon. So be watching for that in the next day or two. Mike Newland, thanks, guys. Thank you, Mike, for everything. Always a nice hotel.
Yeah.
That's what Dan says. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. Travis, thank you again. Thank you, everybody. I hope you had fun. That was our purpose, is just to kind of, have a friendly back and forth. So don't worry, we're still friends. We're still going to do more together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll talk here soon. We'll find something else to argue about. And it'll have to be, because like what we did was more philosophical. We have to find something, because I think that the audience generally likes credit card points and miles talk. We'll try to pull it away from the philosophical more to the literal.
Yeah. Maybe some cards you think are good that I think are awful.
Yes. And there's
right?
plenty. Let's do that next time.
That'll be fun. All right, guys.
Awesome. Talk to y'all soon.
See you here next time.
Later, guys.